Man, this is just insane. This is just insane. I saw this like a while ago, and I don't understand serial killers, right? I don't understand because like ultimately humans, we are killers. Well, mainly men, right? With some exceptions, I guess. And the thing is, I know most men have had the intrusive thought, what would it be like to kill someone, right? And that's because of hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. The only way for us to survive was to build our society on mountains upon mountains upon mountains upon mountains of corpses, right? And I'm descended from killers. I'm descended from warriors, people that did what, in most people's opinion, would be horrible, awful, evil things. But like the thing is, there's two types of killers. There are social killers and then antisocial killers. Antisocial killers would be sick fucks like John Wayne Gacy or, fucking, what's his name? Snap of the fingers. Jeffrey Dahmer. Um, what was that one guy that wore like literal skin suits and lived with his mother? Which I'm not talking about the fictional Buffalo Bill. There was a guy that legitimately did that. Yeah, like it's weird too, because like we all have the killer gene, and there was a great kind of saying that I heard from a psychologist. It was something like, you know, genetics are the gun, um, and the environment is the ammo, and experience is the trigger. I think that's how that went. Um, but yeah, no. There are some people that snuck through the cracks, in my opinion. Like people that killed for the sake of the village, for the sake of the law, right? And because killing is needed consistently, there are those that evolve to like it, to desire it, in many ways seek it out, and there is an outlet for that. That's war, that's hunting down horrible people. But then there are also those that, instead of like being um, collective and killing for their tribe, those that were technically superficially part of the tribe but lived on the outskirts, right? They didn't know how to be a part of the community, and they would pick off members of their own community, right? And these people had kids, probably through rape. Um, and then that trait kind of spread, right? There was something I read somewhere that like all serial killers have like a common serial killer ancestor, which is interesting, right? Um, but yeah, no, I've had people say to me like, "Oh, Alex, I think you have a lot of traits that would kind of come off as a serial killer, right? With all these, and I'm like, no, absolutely not. Because I'm not antisocial, right? I don't even jaywalk, you know. If presented the opportunity by my government, right? Or a government that was aligned with my government, or if in self defense, like the thing is, just because you want to kill people doesn't mean you're antisocial. It means you're human. I was in a situation, right, where, a drug addict was chasing me at night through a park, and I pulled out my pistol, right? And I shot in the air, right? Because I could have shot him in the head, right? And I could have done it and probably have not felt any guilt. Probably would have been able to sleep at night. Um, you know, been completely fine. I probably would have liked it, and I would have been completely in the right. The police would have said that was in the right, especially where I live, and that would be the end of that, and I'd move on with my day, right? But I shot in the air because I thought to myself, this is someone's son, right? Or maybe they're a father, and maybe they just kind of lost their way, and this is a member of my tribe, right? And for better or for worse, right? He is in this situation. It's not a good situation. Ultimately, I value my life more than his, obviously. Do I want to kill him? Oh, absolutely. Uh, would I enjoy it? Oh, absolutely. But the thing is, right, I don't want to be the reason why, someone has to see their father getting buried, or someone has to, bury their son, you know? I think primarily above any and all primal instinct and desire or whatever, I primarily always think about my community, those that are even the dregs, the degenerates, to the highest echelons of nobility. I always think, I don't exist as an individual. I exist as an extension of my collective at the end of the day. And, ultimately, what's more important is the life of the community, right? Now, if this one was a person that was, uh, I knew that like there was a child with me and they were going to attack me and the child, they would be dead, right? But no, I shot in the air and the person ran the other way. And yeah, you know, I think most people, right, men, have this dark desire. They want to kill because we evolved to kill. Killing is natural, and in my opinion, it's a good thing. It's human, and I like humanity, right? But the thing is, the social killer ultimately takes into account the importance and the sanctity of life above all else, right? They don't see people as objects, right? They see them as people. They see them as active participants in the national character of things. That's how I see people. I see, you know, that there are people that have their own stories, and stories are best usually not put to an end prematurely, right? And that person, you know, probably ran off. They were probably thinking, "Oh man, I'm probably never going to do this again." It was the same thing. I was walking home at like 3 a.m. from the gas station, and someone was following me from street corner to street corner, and they got closer and they said, "Hey, come over here. I want to show you something." And I put my hand on my pistol. I was open carrying, and I said, "Brother, I am strapped, and I don't think you want to have this conversation." And he turned around and walked the other way. You know, I ultimately I don't know what his deal was, but again, I don't want to be the reason why someone has to bury their son. That person could have, been going through a whole manner of things. Maybe they had a kid that was sick and they needed to mug people at night so they could pay for their kids, medicine or whatever it is. Or maybe they were struggling behind on rent and didn't want to be homeless and all of that, right? And, or maybe they were just like, a really disturbed individual that's of no use to society. Either way, right? Ultimately, right? Yes, I want to kill, absolutely. And the social killer kills under justified circumstance, right? This is what makes a knight or a paladin or a mercenary, or a soldier, right? A social killer is someone that, yes, you can say what you want. Maybe they have low empathy, right? Maybe there's something wrong, but they're someone that, yes, would like to kill people, right? But ultimately, what's real to them isn't their desire to kill. What's real to them is the hierarchy and the structure of their society, the laws and, the forces at be, right? Someone that knows how to submit to authority, someone that knows social procedure, and someone that understands that the life of the community goes way beyond, any dark passengers that they may have, right? And I have no doubt that I will kill someone, right? But it will be in a way in which I'm not being sent off to prison for the rest of my life, where instead a police officer will shake my hand and say, "Good job," or I'll be even given a medal from some military official, in some other country, right? There are actively, like, this is the thing I don't understand about antisocial killers, right? People that will turn on members of their own community and cut people up and do all sorts of horrible things, right? And I don't understand the sadism, right? I feel like sadism takes away from a fair kill, why are you going to prolong suffering when the kill itself is the most purest thing about it? I don't understand that wanting to have control. It's like, yes, we're killers, but we're also part of nature. We're animals. We get killed ourselves. We die, right? I don't understand, like, it's having the desire, like maybe this is an antisocial killer thing, but I don't understand having the desire to control someone through their suffering. I don't understand that, right? It's for me, I think it would be one and done, right? But yeah, no, I mean, there are people that have these urges, right? I've had these urges my whole life, and these people, and instead of honing it, right, they'll kill children, they'll kill women, they'll kill the weak and the infirm, right? When there are countries allied with us, right, like the Philippines are allied with us, and they are begging people for all across the world to come to the Philippines, and that with the permission of the US government and the permission of the Philippine government, you can go there, find terrorists that that suicide bomb themselves, that do absolutely horrible things to civilians, and you can have a fucking field day, right? You can fucking stack bodies, you could cut off their heads, you could probably drink their blood, and you could say that when you got home, and sure, people would want to psych eval you, but whatever. You could be the barbarian you want to be. Like, you can get paid and rewarded for mass killing, right? You could fucking tattoo the tally marks of the amount of human life you've ended and brag about it in front of fucking a constable or chief of police, right? You could actively say to the FBI, the CIA, that you like this, that you took pride in it, and you fucking scarified your body to really treasure the kills, right? And depending, right, on the country you live in, you could legally take trophies, right? If you're a sick fuck that likes that, you could literally get the skulls, right? And you would be acknowledged. People would have a lot to say about you, but no one's going to be knocking on your door, right? So it's weird to me that, like, the war in Ukraine, you can leave the United States, right? Go to Ukraine, kill a bunch of Russian people, right? Innocent people that don't want to be there, right? And you can let that darkness out, and you can kill Russians. You could take photos of yourself, next to a dead Russian corpse, like you're a fucking dentist that just shot a lion, right? And I know people that do this, by the way, that I've met people that were former Army that went to the Philippines, killed terrorists, and they took photos. I saw the photos. They had souvenirs, and yeah, it was impressive. It was a fair kill. I've met people that went as civilians, right? And they got all the legal approval, and they went to the Middle East, and they volunteered with governments that were allied with us, to just fucking kill members of ISIS, right? And this guy cut off ISIS members' heads like ISIS members do to civilians, right? Took photos of him with the heads, and everyone knows what he did, and he's back in the United States. So I don't understand separating yourself from the community. I don't understand breaking the law. The law, the government will literally reward you for being a serial killer, right? It will reward you for doing this, because ultimately that type of dark quality, if you have it in you, could be used to protect the innocent. It could be used to protect, innocent people. It could be used to the benefit of your society or multiple societies. So I don't understand people that either live in secret or throw their lives away, and just hurt innocent people, right? Why would you kill old people and women, right? That's not impressive. That's not impressive. Whereas you have a fucking jacked, like, Middle Eastern dude that, like, fucking has 12 child brides, and is like has a high kill count to his name, and you want to be like the White Death of Finland. Absolutely, right? I mean, the White Death of Finland, right? The sniper that killed, what was it, almost 1,000 Soviet soldiers individually, one by one, just picking them off using iron sights. He shot a fucking Soviet soldier through their scope into their head. And he is recognized as a national hero, God rest his soul. And yeah, he's an icon, right? And it's weird. There is people that throw their lives away and they get fame. They get women that visit their prison for conjugal visits and they become called the Zodiac Killer or some bullshit, the Bay Harbor Coomer. And that's how they want to be remembered, with fear and disgust. Dude, there are people that, like Vlad Tepes, who, by all rights, defended his nation and is considered a Romanian folk hero. You could kill probably 15 times more people than a serial killer, kills like random innocent people in all sorts of fucked up ways, right? You could, kill like way more people than Dahmer, way more people than John Wayne Gacy, way more people than Charles Manson. You could kill thousands of people, right? And if you do it in the right way, you are a national hero. You're a national hero. You're given a medal, and they build statues to you. Some people even worship you, right? Some, you will have your name become a household name where families will celebrate you and parents will name their kids after you. So why the fuck are you going to do this shit in this video? I don't understand.
I can't believe it! Oh my god! Kind of a time to not really know what to do, so. A bit random too.
Like, I can't imagine dishonoring your mother and father for this, right? I can't imagine, I want my mom to, like, when she finds out that I'm a killer, I want her to, like, find out that I, like, saved a bunch of, like, children from being raped and that, these terrorists, that were blowing themselves up and raping children and decapitating people, that I conquered a bunch of terrorists, right? That, maybe when we go to war with Iran, that I killed, like, I don't know, 70 Iranian, soldiers, right? When we go into World War III, just to be like, my mom would absolutely be fucking appalled. But the thing is, like, everyone would be like, yo, your son's a hero, right? I want something that makes my family famous, not like, oh, there's that family. Oh, can you believe that what kind of upbringing did he have? That's terrible. Like, what I find way more horrifying than any type of crime, right, is dishonoring your family, dishonoring your community, right? So it's less disgust and it's more confusion just seeing these people. This kid that did this horrible thing, he could have, like, brought his mother and father pride and, like, went to a country with, like, absolute heinous, insidious monsters doing horrible things to innocent people and just fucking kill them. He could have done the same shit he did to this poor old man in this video to, like, a fucking, like a member of ISIS, and been in his mother and father would be like, yep, that's our son. Instead, this I could never imagine causing my mother or any other family member such pain. It just burns my soul, It's just, how could you do such a thing?
How old is Brian? 19. He's 19. What's going on, man?
Cooperate? I am going to cooperate.
Okay, so parents have some concerns of some stuff they may have found in your room?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, 3D modeler friend messaged me. Anyways, yeah, this kid, like, no. What the fuck, man? Every time I see this shit, right? True crime. I can't stand true crime because I don't understand why anyone would socially isolate themselves, right? And just perform such behavior, right? I don't understand what goes on in their brain, right? Most men want to kill, and we have suppressed it as a society. We pretend that we're not absolute monsters, that we're not fiends. And it takes, like the Navy and the Navy SEALs to like kind of bring that out, right? I mean, if anything, the Army doesn't brainwash you into becoming killers. It allows you to become what you truly are. And that's why, integrating back into civilian life is so hard, because you've seen true humanity and you're told that you can't be a part of that anymore, right? So, it's not to say, oh, soldiers are evil killers. No, humans are evil killers, right? But just because something's evil doesn't mean that it has to be fucking maniacal, right? So I don't know.
Be
A human head and hands.
like for
See, that's if it wasn't who he did it to, that would have been normal. In World War II, in World War II, there were people in the Pacific Theater, American soldiers, that when they killed a Japanese soldier, they would cut off the head, they would remove the skin, they'd boil it, bleach it, and they'd mail the skulls back to their family members, where their kids would paint the skulls with the designation of their army unit. And there are thousands of skulls that are still in American households that are trophies, and this is something we did in ancient Atlantis with the Shambhalans, but that's neither here nor there, right? So I get that, right? You want a human head? You know what? If you go to a terrorist country, right, and you legally kill a terrorist, and depending on the laws of what you can and cannot take back with you, and maybe whatever, you could probably still legally to this day find a way to legally acquire a human head, right? And you could bring that into your home if you have like the right paperwork, and depending on your laws and your jurisdictions, and a police officer would knock on your door and be like, sir, we heard rumors that you had a human head. And then, you invite them in and you show them, and they're like, yes, this is someone I killed. And, they might be horrified, but then, they might arrest you, but then you explain it, you get a lawyer involved, and then you walk out of that police station and with your human head and being like, yep, I killed this person. I took his skull as a trophy, So, yeah, no, there are definitely ways to do that. You could, it's weird how we have so much cognitive dissonance, right? We as Americans, we scalped so many people in the Old West, because we saw Native Americans were doing it, and we didn't look at that and think, oh, Indians, they're so evil. We saw that and we're like, oh, we're jealous. We want to do that because it's fun. It killing people's fun. I'm sorry, but that's how humans evolved. That's how our society exists. You can't have a society without people that enjoy killing. So, there are still people that own scalps from that era. Obviously you can't do that anymore. But if you were brought back to that time, right? So many people nowadays look at the past and they're like, that's fucking disgusting. That's terrible. Nah, you go back to that time period, you'll start collecting scalps. You'll start collecting heads. You'll like it. And that's the uncomfortable truth, But this kid, where did he get this head from?
real human head and hands?
Yes.
From?
That fellow who went missing recently.
Which fellow was that?
Warren Brown.
Warren Brown?
Yeah, what the fuck? You're supposed to respect the elderly, right? Unless they're pedophiles. I don't understand, right? Why would you do this to an innocent old man? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Do you feel high and mighty? You could have fucking done this to a literal terrorist, right? And, terrorists aren't real. There's just like, to them, we're the terrorists, right? And we commit just as equally horrible things as a country, right? I think we've killed more people as a government doing horrible things across the world than any terrorist group can really claim to have done. I mean, America's done so many things worse than 9/11. So I don't, but anyways, you got to pick a tribe, you got to stick with it, and just view things from a one-sided perspective, because that's how humanity most optimally works. But yeah, no. This kid could have you have that in you. You have that hunger. Sure. Same. You go to Ukraine. Fucking go to Ukraine. Go to the Philippines. And there are a few other countries that I can't think of at the moment. But you know what? Afghanistan's still not recognized as a country. I'm not sure if you would be arrested by your government if you went there and killed a bunch of fucking Taliban people. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you'd come back to America and they'd be like, "Oh, we know what you did. That's fine," or like, "Ah, you caused an international incident. We're gonna arrest you." But either way, um, I just don't understand it. You can literally, mercenaries, right? That do the things that the regular army doesn't do. The U.S. government will pay mercenaries to commit the war crimes needed that regular soldiers just can't do. So I don't understand this. You could literally be on federal payroll to be a serial killer. You could work for Blackwater, and you're doing this to fucking elderly people in your fucking neighborhood or county. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
When did he go missing?
The night of the 27th.
Okay, and how did you end up with him?
I murdered him.
With what?
A knife.
Why would you have done that?
I've always wondered what murder felt like.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of us have. That's why you get paid by the government and you get given a gold medal for bravery, right? You could do things way worse than you did to that old man and get a medal for bravery. And you're doing this. And then here's another thing, right? This is why I got into baneful magic as an occult practitioner, because, it's not really a matter of faith. I don't believe in baneful practice. I know that when I do a ritual, it will end someone's life, and it will end it in the way that I have desired to, right? And because baneful magic is a religious act, it's protected by the First Amendment. Witchcraft is not considered something that, you can be like arrested for, right? It's not something in the United States where you go to court and it's like, yes, this person got struck by lightning 7 times and you did a curse to curse this individual a few weeks before so that he would die of lightning 7 times. How do you plead? Not guilty, because that was allowed, right? And here's the thing, right? People say that, governments in the Middle East that kill people for hexing and cursing, they're so barbaric. Killing people over fucking superstition, right? That's so, no. They're absolutely 100%, correct, because you can, literally do things that are like Death Note. You can do things like Death Note with light Yagami, and it works. Oh, it fucking works. And yeah, and the thing is, right? Oh, sorry, yeah. Most people fail at baneful magic, so they think it's bullshit, right? But the thing is, in order for baneful magic to work, you have to actually just be a sick fuck. You have to actually be a cold killer, right? There are people that do this shit and they think, oh, well, I could never do this horrible thing in real life. So it's different in ritual. No, it's not. As above, so below. As the world I see it here, so it is so below. It's the same exact thing, right? You have to be the kind of person that someone rapes your daughter. You have to be the kind of person that could go to their house and end them, right? Knowing that you'll get caught. Not just like, oh, well, if I could get away with, no, knowing that you will get caught, your life will be thrown away, right? If you can do that, then, right, with the benefit of being legally exempt, right, you can perform baneful magic and the same thing happens to them. I've made hundreds of dollars, actually a couple $1,000 from baneful magic, and I'm a little out of my practice, but I'd like to get back into it. And I'd like to be able to pay my rent with it eventually. But yeah, no, there's not many occult practices that I say I'm so proficient at that I'm better than other mainstream occultists, but baneful magic is definitely one of them where I can end someone pretty badly or cause suffering if that is what's needed. But here's the thing, with such power does come with responsibility, because just because I can legally get away with it doesn't mean that's a good thing, right? There are certain people where it's like, yes, as much as possible, I have, a bunch of files, right, with printed out information of sex offenders in my local registry, or the local registry of my area. And yeah, all I need is their photos, their names, and, fucking rotted organs and motor oil, amongst other things, and it's over, right? And, there's a few people that are on the sex offender registry where I live that passed away under circumstances very much relatable to what I did in ritual. And there's nothing tying me to them. You can literally get away with murder. So when people are like, oh, it's crazy to kill people over witchcraft, burn them at the stake. No, it's more crazy is we're actually allowed to do that. That's the crazy part. It's phenomenal, in fact. It's and plus I don't understand the how do I put it? The people in the right, for instance, like me, that they're either Christians, so they're like, oh, I'm going to pray for my enemies. I'm going to pray for the communist and the pedophiles and all these people that do horrible things. And yeah, or on the other side, you have people that are pagan. They have access to, through their morality or their honor, they could, within their moral bounds, perform baneful magic, and they don't. They stick to the materialism of it. They don't, which is, typically I'm talking about the men, so this is understandable. Baneful magic is more of a womanly thing, right? But the fact that people on the right treat the threat as a purely physical one is crazy to me, because and they'll say that, oh, well, baneful magic is Jewish, or that's something the communists do. Exactly, that's something that both of those do, right? They Our enemies on the left understand that baneful magic allows them to do what they could very well do physically, but do it spiritually, and the same physical effect results. This is why right-wing movements fall apart, why mysterious scandals pop up out of nowhere, where the person's probably actually innocent, but it all falls apart, right? They're at you're getting to that height of power, and then it collapses out of nowhere, right? As if you've been cursed. Well, you have been cursed, right? So the idea that people in the far right and the right in general act as if the astral battlefield is not as important as the physical one, saying, oh, it's schizo to focus on baneful magic instead of trying to change laws and run elections and do activism. You have to do all this physical stuff because esoteric nationalism is just bogus and schizo. Meanwhile, our movements are failing because we don't spiritually defend ourselves, and we don't spiritually attack the enemy. And they do that to us, right? And credit where credit's due, the left understands the baneful magic is real. They know that, you curse Nazis, you curse fascists, you curse them, they die. Oh, they drop like flies, But then you tell this to them, and they're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. That sounds kind of gay. I mean, then at that point, feel free. I have a shovel right here. Grab it. You can start digging because you just dug your own fucking grave. It's weird. They talk about, a lot of these people on the right talk about emulating the Romans. The Romans, they saw the way their enemies attacked them, and their first response was to adapt that weaponry and then use it against the enemy. I know that's a side tangent, but it's crazy to me that, the political right, even the far right, doesn't engage in baneful magic. Why, while they're the ones saying violence is good, let's bring back this Bronze Age, right? Let's bring back strength and the might of the warrior. And then meanwhile, the most pacifistic fucking pussyfooting creeps on the left that have, this gift of being a killer, this dark blessing, that are just so pathetic, engage in baneful magic, and it works. That, like, the thing is, when you kill people spiritually, right, that is physical. even if it's not legally recognized as physical, you are still, in a way, physically killing someone. So, I can legally, right? And again, this is the interesting thing. You don't have to be a serial killer. You want to be a serial killer that's like, what, like, I'm not trying to give you ideas. Don't do this. Not that you would care. So it doesn't matter. But, antisocial killers, they could kill people spiritually to the same effect and count it as their kill. I have a journal somewhere, right? And according to that, I've killed, spiritually in ritual as a religious act, I've killed like well over 500 people. And that's that means that I could have killed 500 people in real life and been completely fine. Your baneful magic doesn't work because you don't have it in you. And that's why you can't get into it. It's all the information's out there. It's easy to do this kind of magic, right? It's easy to do the ritual, but it's not easy to be that kind of person unless you are that kind of person. So that's just my thoughts on that. But yeah, no, I don't understand what goes on in the minds of these people. It's crazy to me.